Hi everybody, in this video we will discuss about identifiers in Python. Before we start discussion about identifiers, we will have a quick look about the history of Python. The father or the creator of Python is Guido van Rossmann. He is the person who created in his Christmas vacation. He was working in C language. He wanted a syntax-less language, so he was designing his own language. But this language got released in 1990s and became popular only in the 2000s when there was a lot of mathematical computations going on. Since Python has got the advantage of memory, right? It is not having like memory bounds as other languages impose. This language started getting more popular, right? And nowadays we have got lot of packages that can work with mathematical operations as well as with data science and so on. And when you look at the name of the language, of course there is a snake that all of us know in the name of Python, but the creator did not name based on the snake but based on his favorite circus show, that is Monty Python's Flying Circus. So he named based on this particular circus name. And when we look at the translation, one thing that we have to understand is whatever language we are working or high level languages, let it be C or C++, Perl, Java, Python and many other languages are also present. They are all high level languages which will be easy for us to understand and code our thoughts. We already discussed that computers are like perfect servants who can listen to us and who can do whatever we tell. So we should be able to tell them in a proper way. For that, high level languages are only easy. But when you look at the computers, they cannot understand our language. They can understand only mission level language. Mission level language means something made up of ones and zeros only they can understand, right? So when you see olden days, they were communicating with mission level languages only. So they had like strings formed with zeros and ones and punch cards were there. To tell this is what, like for example they will tell this is for print. I'm just telling for example. Another one may be this is for read. Like this they had so many codes. Imagine how difficult it will be for a human to remember all these codes. Instead of giving it to a computer and making it to work, we will think I myself will do the job, isn't it? The objective of designing a computer itself is to assist human in doing a job in a quicker and a smarter way. But if you have to remember all these things, then it becomes hectic and it will be better always to do the job instead of remembering all these things. That frustration will come. So they were thinking, okay, instead of going for low level, why don't we do something high, more better? So they were designing something called as assembly level languages, which are being recognized by our processors. So there we will have some kind of codes, move immediate and so on. It was better. But still they were not convinced. It is still difficult to remember those things. And then they were going for high level languages like C, C++ and above that now Python, more is frameworks and so on, right? So some kind of translation is required. My language is different and the machine's language is different. The machine has to understand and do my job. So a kind of translation is required. There are two types of translators for the programming languages. One is interpreter, other one is compiler. To give a better idea about interpretation and compilation, I used to tell a small scenario. Let me share that here. Let us assume that PM of Japan has come to India. He is in Chennai. He is addressing few people here. These people do not know Japanese language. They know English, Tamil, etc. This person, he knows Japanese language, he doesn't know English or Tamil or any other language, and let us assume there is a translator. When he is addressing, he will give a sentence. How the process will be going on? He will tell a sentence, the translator will translate it and tell to the people, and next sentence will be given by the PM. It will be translated and given to the people. Like that it will be going on, right? Okay, this is what is interpretation is. Line by line will be converted from one language to other language. That's what is interpretation. And let us consider another one person. He is a press person and he knows Japanese. So what he'll be doing, he'll be listening to the whole talk of PM and then he will be compiling that to the language whichever is known by the people. Okay, so that is a difference, and the compiled message will come in the newspaper next day, right? So similarly, a compiler will also see the entire code. It will not stop the process as soon as it finds some error or so. It will be continuing and compiling the entire code and converting into something called as object code. Let us not go into the depthness. Just understand the difference between interpreter and compiler, that interpreter will do line by line, compilers will do all together, right? And now we are going to discuss about what are meant by identifiers. From the name itself you can understand it's basically going to identify something, right? Our name is an identifier for us, right? Like that, in a program there are going to be number of elements. In mathematics, when you are solving a problem, x, y, if I tell x equal to 5 and y equal to x square, then you can compute y equal to 25, replacing x by 5, isn't it? They are all basically variable names, okay? And apart from these variable names, we may have some other elements also. When we go into the language, you will know there is something called as functions, there are classes, they are also program elements, right? So all the program elements need to be identified, then only they can be used, okay? So identifier will be a sequence of one or more characters which are used to name a program element. And when you look at the identifier in Python, the identifier can contain letters, digits, but it cannot begin with a digit. I want to tell that human names, we do not have digit. How our identifier is formed? Only with letters, right? But in the case of Python, identifiers can contain letters as well as digit, but it should not start with a digit. So I can tell A1. A1 is perfectly alright, but I should not tell as 1A because it starts with a number. And only special character that is allowed is underscore, but do not start a variable name with underscore in Python, because Python has got some reserved meanings whenever a variable name starts with underscore. That we will be discussing in the later part of the course. And these are all some valid variable names shown. And let us put the rules for the identifiers in a nutshell. Python is case sensitive. What we mean by case sensitive is this line is different from this line. Why? Because the first letter is capital here it is small, okay? Even if one letter is in a different case, that is uppercase, lowercase, that's what we will tell for capital letters and small letters. So in that case it will be different. So these two are different, and identifiers may contain letters and digits but cannot begin with a digit, as we discussed. And the only special character allowed is underscore, and the underscore character is also allowed to aid the readability of the longer identifier name. Whenever we are giving name for the variables or any element, we have to make it to be more meaningful, and so that the code will become readable and understandable, right? When we have longer names, it is better to use underscore for clarity. That's what is told, and spaces cannot be a part of an identifier. So let us quickly check whether these are valid identifiers. This is valid, this is also valid, and when you look at these two, they are different, of course, because this is capital, this is small, and this is a valid identifier, right? This is not valid because I have got a quotes here, and because there is a space, this is not valid. Since this starts with the numbers, this is not valid. And keywords, when you look at it, keywords are like identifiers only, but they have got some predefined meaning, like country names, okay? We have got country names. Country names have got predefined meaning, right? We will not use the country name as a name of a person or something, right? Because they have got already a universal meaning. Similarly, we cannot use keywords as variable names, right? And if you are going to use it, then the interpreter will get confused and give some syntax error. These are all some of the keywords in Python. Let us not memorize or anything. As you proceed in the course, you will definitely get all these keywords used to, right? So there is no problem. But you should just remember that keywords cannot be given as variable names. So let us quickly check this. And a equal to 5 is a valid thing. A1 equal to 5 is also valid, but I cannot tell 1a equal to 5 as per the rule, right? And I should not give this. Of course the interpreter will not tell anything, it will agree, but I should not do this in Python because, as I told, there are some predefined meanings, and we cannot have keywords are also as variable names. So I cannot tell if is a keyword, and is a keyword. I cannot give them like variable names. That is not allowed, right? And basically variable is a name which can be associated with a value. Yes, as we see here, it can be associated value and is a name that is assigned for a value. It is like some memory location. If I tell a equal to 3, it's like there is a memory with value 3, and this memory is named as a. That's what is meant. And next we will discuss about comments. Comments are very important when we are going to do programming, because the program return should be understood by human, right? The problem is, if I write a code, if it is like 10 lines, 20 lines, I myself will write it, but after some 10 days I may not be able to understand my own code. I am serious about this. You will experience that, right? So always it is better that we give comments so that we understand what we are doing. Any language will have comments. So what are basically comments? Comments are part of the program which can be understood by human. It is in our own language, our natural language, English basically, and the compiler or the interpreter should not work on that. It should not try to understand that. It should just skip it. That's what we mean by comments, right? And any language will have single line comment as well as multi-line comment. And in Python, how we use single line comment is using a hash. So whenever I put a hash, either in the beginning of the line or in between the line, whatever is following hash in that line will be ignored, right? And multi-line comments can be either single quotes, single triple quotes, or double triple quotes. So what I mean by multi-line comment is it will go for multiple lines. Let me show it in Spider. So if I tell a equal to 5, and if I start putting hash, a is 5, right? You will see that this part, whichever is coming after hash, will be ignored by the interpreter, right? And I can also have it in the beginning itself. I can tell this is a comment, right? That is also perfectly alright. Multi-line comment means it can either start with triple single quotes, I can type something, right? But it is waiting. You can see here 3 dots are there. I can tell I can tell whatever I want till I finish with 3 triple quotes. It will be there. And you can see this is the comment, so it is getting printed. I can either use triple single quotes or triple double quotes. If I use triple double quotes, that will be taken as docs. I'll be telling about docs in the later part of the videos. Okay, thank you.